Your why is very important because when you start in your business, you may initially think that your why, like lots of people, is financial. But what I've learned over the years is that 99% of people, their why is not about money at all. Money is a method or a tool or a vehicle to get you to where you actually want to go. But your why is something much deeper than that. Hey there, and welcome to the Direct Selling Accelerator Podcast. My name is Sam Hind, and I'm here to inspire you and help you to generate the confidence and courage to grow the business of your dreams. Why? Because you're doing this for a reason, and I believe in you. But I also want to share with you some of the things that I have learned along the way that have helped me to not only build a successful business, but to build a business that brings me constant joy and helps me to achieve my vision and mission in life. And I want you to be able to do the same. But with that comes challenge. There's nothing easy about growing a business, but it is incredibly rewarding. And if I can help you miss some of those potholes along the way, then I've done my job here, and that brings me much joy because some of those potholes are deep and painful to get out of. Today, I want to talk to you about something that comes up for a lot of my clients. This is a question I get asked often. And when I do the rare coaching call that we do from time to time, we don't have a lot of time for these one-on-one anymore. But when I do, I hear this question, and it's almost like a desperate question that comes up. And it's asked a little like this: Sam, I just don't know what else to do. Nothing is working for me. What do I do next? How do I get results? How do I show up on social media so that it's actually working for me and growing my business? And, while I hear that desperation for people, sometimes I find that the easiest possible thing to do is to come back a few steps, take a really big deep breath. And I've developed 4 W's that I ask when we get to this point. And I want to share these with you today because perhaps you might be in that position. Maybe it's not that desperate. Maybe you're not thinking, what do I do next? But maybe you are thinking, I feel a little stuck right now. I just don't really know what's going to get me results. And I know how precious my time is, and I don't want to waste it. Well, if that's you, I'd like to share these 4 W's with you because these are 4 W's I come back to consistently in my own business. Greg and I will often sit down, get out the butcher's paper, and jot down these 4 W's. This is where we start and where we're headed. We build out where we're headed and how we're going to start showing up in order to achieve that. The reason that this matters so much is social media is one of those things that can go off on tangents. We can get really caught up in several things. Either we get caught up in the creative, the shiny new object syndrome where we, see a cool reel or a cool way of creating content, or we download this fun new app and we get caught up creating all of this content that actually probably isn't taking us anywhere and really ends up being more of a distraction than a successful strategy. The other thing that tends to happen is we get caught up in what we used to do. We get caught up in routine and habits, which can be a great thing, but it can also mean that we're not adapting what we're doing. And adaptation comes with moving out of the comfort zone. I know it can be something that we don't want to do, and we go through cycles and seasons in life and in business where from time to time you just get caught in this comfortable place where you just know what you're doing, you know what you're showing up with, and suddenly you realize something. That strategy was working for me 6 months ago or a year ago. I don't think it's getting the same results anymore. And you think, I don't really know how to change things up. So this is where you come back to the 4 W's again. So I want to share these with you really quickly. And I'm hoping that by sharing them, it's something you can stop and do and ask yourself, and it might get you that progress that you're really hungry for right now. So wherever you're at in your business, these are going to be helpful for you. Number 1 is why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Now, I have spoken to many very incredible people who have coached on this podcast or within our memberships around how to find your why. Your why is very important because when you start in your business, you may initially think that your why, like lots of people, is financial. But what I've learned over the years is that 99% of people, Their why is not about money at all. Money is a method or a tool or a vehicle to get you to where you actually want to go. But your why is something much deeper than that. I remember when I first went through the exercise of discovering my why, it took me a little while, but when I got there, I was so emotional. And all of a sudden, I realized what I'm doing in this business is not a maybe, it's an absolute must, because I got really clear on that why. To the point where I can remember one particular day, I had had a rough week in the business. We'd lost a couple of really big clients. There was a lot going on. We had lots of overheads. We had staff. We had offices. We had all sorts of things going on. And I remember going home and sitting on the couch and just thinking to myself, I just can't do this anymore. I opened my phone and I went to, in Australia, we've got seek.com.au, which is where you go to look for jobs. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go back into the workforce. I haven't had a holiday in I don't know how long. And I don't want the responsibility of being the person that everyone's looking to problem solve for them right now. I would love for that to sit on someone else's shoulders for a change. Ever been there? Bet you have. And if you're in business right now, you know what I'm talking about. So I sat there and I thought, that's it. I give up. And I started looking through Seek and I found some really amazing roles that I knew 100% I would absolutely kick it at. And I was like, if I applied for these roles, I reckon for sure I would have to land those jobs. This seems like such an easy solution for me right now when I just want to quit. I'm over it. And by the way, done that a few times, been in that place a few times. But all of a sudden, and as Greg walked into the room, I just said to him, that's it, I'm getting a job, I've had enough. And he walked into the room and he went, if that's what you want, I support you. Which is like the worst thing he could have said, because straight away I'm like, why would he be so supportive of me wanting to quit right now? But he said, remember why you're doing it. And I stopped for a little moment and I thought about my why, and I realized, oh my goodness, this might be getting a little bit hard. And I'm in one of those moments, and it's one of those seasons where I really do need to step in and have some courage and push that comfort zone a little. But you know what? My why is too big and I can't walk away from this because I'll be letting people down, because the people that I'm here to show up for, if just one of those people doesn't hear from me today, maybe one of those people won't step out into their best self, won't step out in courage and grow their business. And I can't have that happen. So I realized that my why was pivotal to me continuing forward. And I remember that day sitting there going, I need more people to understand why identifying their why is so important. So let me just be clear about something here. Your why is not something that you randomly stumble across, and most people, until they've done an exercise to identify their why, actually go through life without ever really knowing what it is, because we assume it's something like money or, getting a trip or whatever that might look like, or just being successful in general. But your why is deeper than that. And when you do realize what it is, you will feel emotional. So the best way to tell you how to do this in just a few moments, and I do recommend reading books like Find Your Why by Simon Sinek. There's a lot of amazing people out there. A really good friend of mine, Keith Abraham, has written several books on identifying your why and getting really clear about this, and delivers some brilliant training in this space as well. But ask yourself, why 7 times. That's my trick. Now, this can be hard to do if you don't have someone there with you, because your brain is going to push against this. But ask yourself, why am I doing what I'm doing? Or why am I in this business? Answer that question and then ask yourself why that's important. Answer that question and keep going. Once you get down to 6 or 7, usually that's the point where you hit that little emotional chord. And if you start to feel emotional, you feel it in your heart, in your chest, or you get a little teary, you know you've either got it or you're pretty darn close. So ask yourself that question and get really clear. Why does this matter to me? Why am I doing it? And I promise you, when you land on it, when you get there, and it will be a very pivotal moment for you, suddenly this will go from being a maybe to a must. So that's number 1. Why are you doing what you're doing? Next is who. Who are you here to serve? When you get clear on what the why is, the who usually becomes fairly easy to work out as well. So who are you here to serve? Who are you here to show up for? Now, this is an exercise that can be very quick and easy. It can be a little bit in depth, but it's very important to do it because the other thing is that when you show up on social media, if you don't know who you're showing up for, it's going to be very hard to know what content to create that's going to get their attention. So, who are you here for? And narrow it down. Don't be afraid to do that. If you look at the really successful people out there on social media or the leaders in your company, ask yourself this. Are they really clear on who they're speaking to? I can promise you 99.9% of them unashamedly serve a particular audience. They know they're not here for everyone. They're here to show up for a particular group of people. So get really clear on that. That's the who. That's the second W. The third W is where. And the where is, where are you going to show up? Now, the reason I've put this one in here is because we can sometimes get really caught up in showing up everywhere. And again, when people come to me, and I remember having a call with someone only a few days ago, and she was one of these people in this situation. She was saying, Sam, what do I do? How do I get results? I'm just really stuck. And she said, what should I do next? And she felt completely overwhelmed. And when I asked her, where are you showing up right now? Because we went through the 4 W's. She said, I'm showing up on my profile, my page, 2 groups. She said, I've got 3 Instagrams going at the moment, one for, each of the different things I talk about. And I was like, wow, that's overwhelming. I don't think I could do that. So just stop and ask yourself, where does it make most sense for me to show up for the people who I'm showing up for to achieve my why? So you can see how these come back on each other. So where will I show up to serve who I'm showing up for to achieve my why? So where is the most obvious? Now, there is a low-hanging fruit and you can start to climb the tree a little later on. But if you try to master everything, you will be a master of nothing. Start in one spot. Dig that hole and dig it well, or what is the saying? Dig a well and dig it well. I don't know. I should get that one right. But you want to really focus in on nailing a particular area. So if that is your personal profile, which is the most obvious for most people, if you haven't reached your full potential on your personal profile, start over there. If you want to use a business page and you want to reach a whole lot of new people to generate new leads to get them through to your personal profile or your group, do a business page. If you're thinking, actually, I really think that my audience is on Instagram right now, why not focus over there? Just set yourself to a task for 30 days. Give yourself a challenge. For 30 days on this particular location, this is where I'm going to show up. I'm not going to jump all over the place. I'm going to have a really solid message over here. So pick where you're going to show up. Consider as well, very important to remember to consider where your audience is. So if you don't know the answer to that, you can test that by just showing up where it makes the most sense for you now. Build that courage, build that confidence up, and then from there, you can start climbing that ladder up that fruit tree and picking some other fruit and showing up in some different locations, but really focus in on that one spot first. The last W is what. Now, the what is 2 things. It is, what are you going to create that's going to help you show up on that platform or in that location that is going to be interesting to the who, that's going to help you achieve the why? So what are you going to create? What are you going to post? What is that strategy going to look like? So the what is the content, but the what is also another very, very important thing, and that is, what do I want my social media to do for me? And this comes first. So before you think about what the content will be, ask yourself, what do I want it to do for me? Do I want it to connect me with new people? Do I want to convert leads that I already have? Do I want to educate? Do I want to build relationships? Do I want to recruit into my business? Do I want to build a brand and build awareness that supports other activities that I'm doing? What do you want it to achieve? Do you just want to inspire people? Do you want people to feel something in particular, an emotion, maybe fun? Maybe you want to make people feel connected. Maybe there's a part of your why that connects very deeply with your what. But the reason that I say this, and the reason the what is so important before you come up with your content, is I see a lot of people randomly creating content that's not actually tied back to any kind of a goal. And when I say to them, they ask me this question, Sam, how do I get results? Please help me, I'm stuck. My next question to them will be, what are you actually wanting your social media to do for you? What do you want it to achieve for you? And usually when they're feeling these feelings, when they're feeling stuck, maybe you today, they actually can't answer that question because they haven't stopped to think about it. And so what that means is the content that they're creating is not tied back to any particular purpose. It's not tied back to helping you achieve anything that's going to get you anywhere. So of course you're not going to be getting results because you're not even aiming at a result. You're just randomly throwing content out there for the sake of it. And I don't want you doing that. That's a big waste of your very precious time. So instead, stop and ask yourself, what do I want this to do for me? What do I want this to achieve for me? Where do I want this to take me? Do I want to generate leads? If you want to generate leads, then you can think about what content will I create that's going to help me do that? Well, I'm going to do some lead magnets, and I'm going to create some curiosity-driven posts, and I'm going to ask some engagement questions. Maybe your what is that you want to educate, you want to draw awareness to a particular cause or issue or situation or even product, in which case your what from a content perspective is now going to be coming up with posting strategies that are going to help you educate. You're going to help draw awareness. So bunch of different strategies you could create in that space. So you can see how knowing your why, knowing your who, knowing your where, and then knowing your what is going to help give you purpose and direction when it comes to your social media. Now that you know these 4 things, when it comes to what do I post next, that's not such a difficult question to answer now because you know what the purpose is, you know who you're posting it to, and the question is simply going to be this: what's going to get their attention today? Or what is going to help me achieve my what today? What is going to help me generate new leads or draw awareness to this particular issue? It'll also help you do more actionable and powerful research. It's going to get you results too. So again, I see people sort of flapping around all over the place when it comes to social media when they haven't identified these 4 W's. Now, I've probably made this sound really complicated. I hope that I haven't, but it's actually a fairly simple process to go through. You don't need to spend days or weeks or months identifying them. You can do this in just 15 minutes. Sit down with a piece of butcher's paper like Greg and I do and just ask yourself these questions. I'm going to tell you a little secret here too. When you don't know, you know. It's one of my favorite quotes. Tony Robbins said it. I don't know if he made that quote up or if it came from someone else, but we'll let him have it today. But when you don't know, you know. When you're asking these questions of yourself and you say, I just don't know the answer to that, just ask yourself this follow-on question. This is what I do for me, by the way. When I say, I just don't know the answer to that, I just don't know, I'll then ask myself, well, if I did know, what would it be? Because what I know to be true is I already know the answers. It's just sometimes it takes a little bit of digging into that subconscious brain to get it to come out. So if you did know, what would it be? And by the way, test this on your kids if you've got kids. I do this on my kids all the time. They go, I don't know, Mum. Well, if you did know, where would that sock be? If you did know, what would the answer be? And you see them dig a little further, and often they actually come up with the right answer. And it even surprises me, but it's true. So when you don't know, you know. So as you're asking these questions, if you hit a wall, know that the magic is on the other side of that wall. Keep pushing, because I can promise you that these 4 W's, if you do these, and you do it regularly, by the way, because you do get sort of caught into routine and comfort zones from time to time, these will totally not only change the way that you operate your business, but they will bring you so much more purpose and therefore so much more joy. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. Go out there right now, grab yourself a piece of paper, grab a napkin, whatever's near you. And while you're in state, write down the 4 W's. Why you're doing what you're doing, who you're doing it for, where are you going to show up to do that, and what is your purpose? What do you want to achieve? What do you want social media to do for you? And then the second what? Now, what am I going to create that's going to help me with these 4 W's here? So have some fun with this. Don't overthink it. It's not a complicated process. And remember, when you don't know, you know. I hope that this has been a helpful episode for you. Thanks again for tuning in to the Direct Selling Accelerator Podcast. We'll see you on the episode next week. That's it from me today, guys. Bye for now. Thank you for joining us in this episode of the Direct Selling Accelerator Podcast. If you love listening and you found that this was helpful for your direct selling business, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also check out the recommended video that's popped up on your screen right here. I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye for now.